Let's unpack the Bitcoin conference that happened in Nashville over the weekend.
I didn't catch a lot of this, so I'm actually keen to hear what you have to say.
I think the big theme of it was like politics, right?
Yep.
Because not only was Trump there, RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., I think his name is. He was there as well. There was also other, senators there. I think there were in total 7 politicians there who were
going to be a record.
So obviously that's the theme of sort of this year. But look, I want to unpack Trump's speech because it went for about 45 minutes. Trump likes to talk, but I wanted to highlight some of the key points that he stated. So his biggest statement from it that I took was he said the US will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world. Now, this is coming from a guy who says, this is not verbatim, but a couple of years ago when he was actually president, saying like it has no value, it's made out of thin air, and now he's saying he wants to make it a big part of his presidential campaign. The US is going to basically build like a reserve of it, like a strategic reserve, like stockpiling Bitcoin in order to pay off national debt, which is huge, right? Because you always talk about the US debt is like pretty massive, and it's something that they use to their advantage as well. But like the fact that they're going to use Bitcoin and they see Bitcoin as like a solid asset that is going to gain value over time to pay off some of that debt and basically put them in a stronger financial position is a pretty major statement. What else has he said? He said, I will fire Gensler on day one.
Yeah, I think that got a massive cheer. I saw.
Yeah, it would get a massive cheer. Unfortunately, the case is he doesn't have authority to do that because I think Gensler, the president doesn't have the authority to remove head of regulatory bodies, something like that. So Gensler lives on, but we talked recently about how it's speculated that Gensler's just going to leave at the start of the year, despite his sort of term ending in mid-2026 or 2025. Don't quote me on that. And then he also referred to crypto similar to the steel industry 100 years ago. So you're just in the infancy. One day it will probably overtake gold. So some major statements there from former President Trump. Kamala Harris was sort of touted to speak as well because she's basically come out and said she wants to take a more positive approach to crypto than Joe Biden did. And so she's met with the likes of Coinbase and I think Ripple and some of the other ones that have been involved in sort of the regulatory side over in the US, but she didn't end up speaking. There were some other major highlights as well. So like I said, RFK, so he's, I think, the nephew of JFK.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like an independent politician, but he's a pretty key figurehead over in the US. He is promising to pass legislation that would require the US to buy 550 Bitcoin every single day in order to reach their goal of owning 4 million Bitcoin, which is just over a fifth of the total Bitcoin supply. So that is pretty major. Well, the fact that he's saying the US will be committed to buying consistent Bitcoin every day. Like we talk about BlackRock and some of these other asset managers having a huge impact on price because they buy a lot of Bitcoin in order to fund sort of their ETF. This would be probably even bigger than that. So pretty major statement there. And the other one I wanted to note is VanEck CEO, so a TradFi, traditional finance guy here.
ETF providers.
Yep, one of the ETF people, saying that he holds over a third of his portfolio in Bitcoin. So he's obviously a big believer as well.
There you go.
So yeah, pretty major outcomes. And
about as bullish as it gets from the naysayers in the past, right?
I don't think it gets any more bullish.
Yeah.
Also the fact that, like I said, Kamala Harris is also coming in support. So like both parties are, no matter what the outcome is, it's looking to be more on the positive side. But one thing I wanted to call out, and this won't be the first time we've called this out, but we look back at the previous bull markets. 2017 was driven by the retail market, right? There was a lot of naysayers, a lot of skeptics, particularly institutions and sort of like so-called experts in TradFi saying this is not real, but a lot of people in retail saw opportunity there, and so they capitalized. The next bull market in 2021 was likely driven by the institutions, right? We saw the likes of Tesla, we saw the likes of MicroStrategy buying up Bitcoin in order to put them in a more stronger financial position. And then that obviously triggered a bull market where, the retail follows. And then this bull market, it's looking likely that it's going to be driven by governments.
Okay.
And so the US is obviously the hot one we're talking about at the moment, but, I don't think it'll be long before we start talking about other major governments in the world.
Yep.